Welcome in, guys, to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. We've got our Mailbag show today. This is where we are going to answer all of the questions that you guys left for us this week. A lot of things to dive into. First question coming in from Sam Hackinson. He says, why were the Seahawks so quiet? Thanks for the great videos. Thank you, Sam. Now, he's referring to the Seahawks being quiet leading up to the trade. As we said, Seahawks did nothing. We kind of thought maybe something was going to happen, at least something small, maybe with LJ Collier. Ultimately, nothing happens. And to me, my initial thought behind why the Seahawks really didn't do anything, one could be maybe they're feeling kind of confident that some of their injured players are going to return. One of the trade targets that I thought could be necessary for the Seahawks was a running back. Maybe, we were talking about different guys that could help out Alex Collins if Chris Carson is going to miss some time. But hey, maybe Chris Carson is going to be back earlier than we think. He is eligible to return off of IR for this Week 10 game against the Packers next week. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. We are going to tell you guys, though. We have a Chris Carson update for you, so make sure you continue watching. But maybe he will be back, and maybe Russell Wilson will be back. Now, I don't think that the Seahawks would have gone for a quarterback anyway, unless Russell was going to miss a significant period of time, which I don't think that's going to be the case. If you haven't seen it already, we've done a Russell Wilson injury update. Go check out that video. He's throwing footballs. He's looking good. I really think that he is going to pull something off and be back by Week 10. So I think injuries are part of the reasons why the Seahawks were pretty quiet leading up to the trade deadline. Maybe they're feeling confident in their own locker room, getting some guys healthy. And then one of the reasons they didn't, I think, sell any guys is because there was no interest in Collier. We said this in another video where I do feel like the trade interest was very low. I don't think that teams were willing to give up much for LJ Collier. So I understand the Seahawks side of things, where if you're not going to be getting a fair deal for a guy that hasn't been playing, you haven't been utilizing him, but still a first round pick out of TCU. I understand the Seahawks side of it. I am okay with this move. Keep him on the roster, I think. Keep him on now that you're not going to get much out of him. There's no point in cutting him, I don't think. I'd say you reevaluate after the season. See if there is a way that you can utilize him. Either way, more depth. Good person to have. Yes, would have we liked to see a trade? Maybe, but you don't want to do something stupid where you get nothing in return. And the Seahawks, by the way, have $13.3 million left in cap space. Now, that's actually pretty high in comparison to, the teams around the league. So maybe the Seahawks are going to be taking a free agent approach, which we've seen the Seahawks do this before. They did it with Josh Gordon a few years ago where, they were quiet during the trade, then that happened. So maybe the Seahawks are skipping out on trades and are going to go straight to free agents. Now, what do you guys think, though? Will the Seahawks go after a free agent this year? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I'm going to say yes. Next up, we've got #Seahawks, Chris Carson update. Now, here, this gets a little bit tricky and a little bit contradicting, but as we know, Chris Carson is dealing with that lingering neck issue. He needs to pass a couple tests, but Carroll says he plans on practicing next week. So hear me out. He says he plans on practicing next week. Carroll said on Carson playing Week 10, I don't know if he will be able to pull that off. So what we've got here is Chris Carson sounding pretty confident. He's saying that he thinks that he plans on playing versus the Packers. Now, this isn't Carroll saying that he thinks that Carson's going to play. This is Chris Carson saying that about himself. Now, I don't feel like Pete Carroll is as confident in this. When you're dealing with a neck injury, I know that Pete Carroll has said they really want to make sure it's not going to affect like a spinal injury. You don't want a long-term, severe injury happening and that it's kind of lingering on. So I do think that they're going to take the safe approach with Chris Carson, especially because the fact that this has been an ongoing injury. I don't know if he'll be able to, I'm actually probably going to say I don't think Chris Carson is going to be here for the Packers game. That's my initial thought. I think Pete Carroll's going to play this one safe, but it's your turn. Tell me what you guys think. Will Chris Carson play against the Packers? Type P for play or type O for out. I'd love to see him back. I don't think they're going to risk any, major injuries. They want to make sure they're good to go. And by the way, if you guys want to get into our mailbag show, we do these every week. You've got to be subscribed to our channel, though. So right now, make sure you are subscribed. Hit that big red button or do youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Either way, get subscribed, get your questions in every week. We will make sure to answer them. Next question coming in from Patrick Starr. Patrick Starr says, should #Seahawks go after OBJ if he gets cut? Now, this is the talk of the day around the league, is what is going to happen with OBJ. Lots of drama going on over there in Cleveland between him and Baker Mayfield. Will the Browns end up cutting him? I could see it happening, honestly. I don't think you want someone, we talk about locker room issues, and I don't think that Cleveland's going to stick around for that. That's just my opinion. So I do think OBJ will end up getting cut. So do the Seahawks want to go after him, claim him in waivers, wait till he passes through? I don't know. I don't think it's a priority, but I will say Seahawks have the money. We talked about this, $13.3 million in cap space. A lot of teams won't be able to do this. So, he might get cut and then he's going through waivers and teams are not going to be able to pick up his current contract. He needs to be paid at least, I think it's a little over $8 million. And right now, he's had, 34 targets, 17 receptions, and 232 yards, no touchdowns. He's upset. Really, if you haven't been watching, if you haven't heard, it's kind of a thing between him and Baker Mayfield. Odell maybe feels like he hasn't been targeted enough. A lot to go on with Odell Beckham Jr. The Seahawks could, I'd say, go for it if they'd like. Not necessary, but also, why not? He's a good guy to have on your team. I think that another question. Oh, sorry. It's Jerry Dean coming in. Jerry Dean says, are the Seahawks playoff chances gone? I am going to say no. The Seahawks playoff chances are not gone. We've talked about this a lot too. I don't think they're gone, but it is very competitive. And that is something that we have to live in reality about. Can the Seahawks absolutely turn the season around and be contenders? No doubt. I mean, you look at the playoff picture. We've gone over this before too. Obviously, Packers leading right now. And you look at just the NFC West. Rams right now would take the wild card spot at the 5th seed. Cardinals right now would win the NFC West if the playoffs were today. But I mean, look at the others. Right now, we've got Seattle in the mix at 3-5. They can easily get a wild card spot if they start winning some games. I don't think that is going to be as big of a concern. But when you think about just the NFC West and winning that division, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. Obviously, the Cardinals are playing really well. The Rams are looking good. I think the Seahawks will end up having a better record than the 49ers. But it's going to be competitive. I don't want to sit here and just say everything looks great. It's going to be a walk in the park. It's not. It's going to be hard. It's a competitive league. It's a competitive division. I do think the Seahawks can absolutely get a wild card spot, though. And you look at these games that they've got, they're not easy. You've got Packers. We know that game's going to be hard. We will see if Aaron Rodgers is playing. We do not know that yet. Cardinals, that's again going to be a very difficult but very important divisional game if they are looking to try and stay competitive in the NFC West. Washington should give them a little bit of an easier break. 49ers, still divisional game, still going to be challenging. And then Texans, if they're continuing to play like they have been, that shouldn't be a hard game for Seattle. These next 5 games, though, are very important for the Seahawks. These next 5 games are going to determine whether or not they will make the playoffs. That is my opinion. Obviously, we will stay here and keep you guys updated. How confident are you guys right now that Seattle will make the playoffs? We're going to scale this 1 to 10. 1 meaning you've got no confidence, you think the season's over, and 10 being you think they're going to the Super Bowl. So somewhere in between, I'm actually going to say 6. And I don't know if you think that's low or high, but I think that the Seahawks are going to turn this season around. Russell's going to come back. They're going to start winning some games. I think it's going to be hard for them to win the division, but I think they will get a wild card spot. And if you are feeling confident or, want to bet on the Seahawks in any degree, BetUS is the place to do this. And it doesn't have to be betting on the Seahawks. You can bet on any team. You can honestly bet on any sport you'd like. But they are the sports book that we love, trust here at Chat Sports, and they've got a great deal right now. Go to chatsports.com/bet, sign up, use promo code Seahawks125. They are going to give you a 125% deposit bonus, guys. $100 turns into 225. Put up more money, you get more money back. That's just how it works. So this is a great deal. You can place free bets, and once you do this, if you are new to BetUS, we are going to give you more free things. You can get a Russell Wilson jersey, or you can get a DK Metcalf jersey. You just got to go through the steps, sign up, deposit into your account, place your first bet. Once you do this, email us at jersey@chatsports.com. You will get this free jersey, but the jerseys, I've told you this before, we are running low. They will not be around for long. So make sure you jump on this deal right now. It'll not be here much longer. Next question we have coming in is from Russ is Cooking 3. Should Ethan Posick continue starting at center? We talked about this in our recap. I really like what we saw out of Ethan Posick, and I think that he should start at center. I like him a lot. I think not only do I think Ethan Posick did a good job, and this could be a little bit skewed because we saw him in the game against Jacksonville where, you're going up against a much easier defense, but I feel like overall the offensive line performed better, and we know how important it is that all of them are on the same page, and I do feel like Ethan Posick helped out a lot with this. If you're not aware, the Seahawks benched Kyle Fuller in place. Ethan Posick came in, and he did good. I mean, I think that he's a guy that is going to get better. He's someone that I think the Seahawks should trust. I think he had strong play, and here's what we said. He made smart decisions, and that's very important. If you're playing at center, just the little minor things make a big difference. There was a play against Jacksonville where he saw that Jaguars went offsides. He snapped the ball knowing that that was a free play. Little things like that. If you miss out on that, it can be game changing. Now, obviously that play, if you saw it, did not end well, but it was a free play. So they got it back. I just think Ethan Posick's a smart guy, a strong decision maker. I like him playing at center. Next question we've got is Nikki24. She says, will Russell Wilson request a trade during the offseason? Oh, how we love to talk about Russell Wilson trades. And honestly, there's a reason why we're talking about it. And I hate to say it, but I could see it happening. Obviously, this was a big topic of discussion leading into this season. And, the rumors that came around with Russell wanting out last year. He wanted improved offensive line. They brought in Shane Waldron. He was a big part in that hiring. And so could this happen again this year? I think it could, especially, he's got the power and control to do so. Look at his career stats. He's obviously one of the most dominant quarterbacks in the league, 35,000 yards more than 277 touchdowns. Russell Wilson could play pretty much wherever he'd like. Most teams would want Russell. That's just the reality. So, we talk about how it's sometimes a power dynamic thing where Russell Wilson, a guy that knows he's got control and power, he might be looking at his options saying, I'd like to play here. And in reality, most teams would want him. I don't think that it's 100% going to happen, but I do think it could be an issue. And that's just because that's what history tells us. It could be an issue. It was an issue last year. I don't know. I'd love Russell to stay on the Seahawks, but we'd be lying to ourselves if we said that there was a 100% chance that he's back in Seattle next year. I just don't think that's the reality. Obviously, as the season goes on, we're going to get more information on this. But for now, Russell is in Seattle, so let's not jump to early conclusions. He's going to be back. He's going to be playing very soon, and I don't know if this will happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Russell Wilson will request a trade after this year? Type T for trade if you think he will, or type S for stay.